Hello, everybody. How's it going? Oh my God. Red screen. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. What's up? You are not late at all. We've just begun. And if anyone's watching on YouTube, you're never late because you can take a look at the VOD at any time. Oh, this epic intro music. Thank you, Star Citizen Music. I kind of want to get right into this. This episode today, we're talking about server meshing inside Star Citizen server meshing. We got a bit of an update on what's going on here. And if anybody's joining in the live, either on Twitch or on YouTube, get in the discussion. I'm watching. I want to talk about this one because it'll be interesting. To get my thumbnail for YouTube, I had to skip to a spot where it says they had some issues. So we know there's drama and conflict in this episode. I'm excited to talk about it, what's going on, what we're seeing, because we know that they're trying to launch a a static server meshing implementation by 4.0. Also, how do you guys like my new background? Well, not new, but like I'm getting there. I got my Rocket League posters. I got Chester Bennington from Lincoln Park over there. And then I'm gonna add another one right here. Got to figure out what that is. I have my Star Citizen one from CitizenCon. I'm gonna probably put over here somewhere. We'll figure it out. And I got to get these lights fixed because Nanoleaf likes to not work a lot. Either way, let's get into this. You guys came for the discussion. Let's start chatting. Turn off the music. Where's my producer? Turn off the music. It's this one. All right, it's time to get into it. Get my face out of here. That's the wrong screen. We want this one. There we go.
The Core Technology Group. Bunch of big brains found in all 5 of our studios. These are the folks that have been working to expand Star Citizen beyond the limitations of the traditional client-server model, to distribute what would have been the work of a single server across many. This work has many parts, but the collective name for all the technologies that allow this to happen, we call simply server meshing. Beginning late last year, the newly created Tech Preview channel was used for a series of tests. And while the work of server meshing is that of our entire development staff, toiling in concert with...
Is that a 3D printed 3D printer? It's a bamboo as well. That's so funny. Oh my God, they 3D printed a 3D printer that's 3D printing a boat. That's the default boat. That's so funny.
Server meshing is that of our entire development staff, toiling in concert with the Core Technology Group. We asked members of the small but dedicated UK networking team to speak on their behalf. This is Dev Diary Server Meshing.
Wow, very dramatic. I'm also curious. I also cut stuff out.
Yeah, there was a nerve-wracking one for us because it was the first time, going out.
For Space Tomato, I'm very curious because I didn't see any gameplay footage, so I gotta listen for important excerpts that might be audio clips that I gotta clip out here.
Public with such a big fundamental change for how we run the game.
Replication layer network code split out from the dedicated game server, running in its own service we call the hybrid service.
So these tests are not just for us in Cortec. These are also for the game side as well, so they can actually see their systems functioning along with server meshing. It's kind of one cohesive whole.
So that was the first time trying to deploy that kind of environment, which is radically different from what we've had to do before. One of the major purposes of Tech Preview is to expose the game to a much wider audience so that the rest of the development team can see more of their work exposed, really help us pick up on all the little corner and edge cases that we don't necessarily spot if we only have a handful of people testing.
So it's really good to, have other development teams look at the tech from, a development perspective and on a live environment as well.
It's important because you got to make sure that what you're doing isn't, when you're building this thing, you got to still understand how are other people going to utilize this technology and implement it. Are there easier ways for us to any extra tools that we need to add to this that will make their, like, because if you build a thing and then it takes the other departments 3 months to implement one new asset or something into the system, that's not good. So you got to make sure that it's usable by the other dev teams.
In Alpha
That's a good point
3.18, we introduced the replication layer, our first major milestone towards server meshing. It offloaded the entire state of the universe, things like characters, ships, weapons, and more, away from the game server, which we call the DGS. It wasn't the smoothest process, but the work of splitting the replication layer to be shared between the client and EGS into a new hybrid service still needed to be done. As was testing of a brand new server crash recovery system that was long overdue.
That's the same guy. He's got the I love 3D printing mug, which is clearly not used to drink. But that's the same person that has the 3D printed 3D printer over here. That's funny.
Was testing of a brand new server crash recovery system that was long overdue. These would be the focus of our first 2 tech preview tests, and everyone was excited to learn everything we could with help from the community.
This is where everything breaks.
Basically, we learned that it worked.
Went surprisingly well for us.
Yeah, it was great fun.
Yeah, good job. It works.
We learned that, the technology was working kind of as we expected. It was like surprising how well it actually worked.
For the backers, the major change that they would have observed through these tests was the improvement for server crash recovery. So the first outing with server crash recovery, we were talking 25, 30-minute recovery times, frequent crashes all over the place.
It's almost like we're pulling the tablecloth out.
The one time I had a recovery, it took about 6 to 7 minutes.
From underneath everybody at once. So it requires people to make some interesting considerations and kind of shimmy that tablecloth back underneath with the new server.
So if the server crashes, the game state still survives. We can spin up another server, and when it connects again, the new server connects again. It can get all the game state back, and clients can continue on their merry way.
It's basically server meshing for game code all at once in like one big giant transition.
But I think by the time we were getting to this, second and third tests, we're starting to see things dramatically quicker and dramatically more reliable.
Yeah, I think I was probably expecting it to explode. Yeah, pretty hard. But we were surprised that the game code worked as well as it did without needing changes.
Backers have a way of finding and breaking things. So having a good few hours testing in backers' hands in a more or less real-world environment was incredibly valuable.
Of course, this is still game development, and these were tests, not just for the core technology group, but for every other dev team to see just how much work they still had ahead of them. Work that continues today, adapting all of Star Citizen's various game systems to the realities of server meshing.
We found that there were some gameplay systems that weren't quite ready for server crash recovery, that could cause some issues when a server crashes and one takes its place. So that kind of allowed us to kind of create a bunch of bugs and send them out to various gameplay teams.
What's cyclical crashing?
Basically, when the server then tries to recover, start back up, it would then deserialize the state that we had stored previously, and the state itself was corrupt, so it would just crash, and it would just keep trying. Pretty annoying. A lot of people were like, let's turn off server crash recovery.
What do you mean? That's the best gameplay loop. That's the core of Star Citizen, right?
The problem, when actually, no, it wasn't the problem.
Let's skip the bug. Let's just make the game a bug itself. You know? The whole thing's just a bug. They've peaked.
It was just the state it was in. When it is working, it works very well.
Star Citizen is a large, complex game. Every little bit of it across core tech and the actual game system has to function perfectly for server meshing to work. The test allowed us to point to parts of the code where things didn't function, so we could go back to the game teams and say, you need to go back and you need to rework this particular system.
Being able to allow the replication layer to kind of soak is kind of how we were able to get it from basically having things work for the first time to a production-ready product.
Making sure that we were in a good state so that we could progress with the next set of tech preview tests.
It had worked twice now?
Yes, yeah, the overconfidence was starting to grow, yes.
With two successful trials in the can, the team broke for the holidays, returning in January with more tests, more fixes, more bugs to discover, and even improvements to the very manner in which we collected and analyzed data itself.
At this point now, it's...
If you're watching on, well, I guess live stream, or if you're watching on the VOD afterwards, anyone else hate how Windows just changes their audio settings on them for no reason? And you have to go in every time you boot your computer and change your audio settings again? It's wonderful. It's my favorite thing.
Not only about just getting server crash recovery working, but we're really starting to see changes come in from the game teams for the various systems that interact with it. So from those early tests, people would have seen you know, a loss of state for certain systems or things that just didn't recover well. If you ended up in, you know, a weird condition where, let's just say you were in the middle of respawning during a server crash.
But this is when we were noticing, you know, a lot of, you know, major spikes, and, you know, a player tries to interact with a door or a ship or tries to pick up something, and, you know, they could be waiting several minutes.
Intents are always scary, and this is why I always get, like, you know, when you open a link on your phone, it opens another app, but then you have to, like, log into that app, and you're like, oh, is that information going to get lost? Because you're going through so many different steps. Now, they have a way to carry that information through, but it could also be that the developers making that website messed up on being able to carry that information through, and I've had that happen before. In fact, one site that's really bad at that is Best Buy. You'll click a link on Google, you'll go to Best Buy, then it's like, where are you, in the US? Are you in Canada? And you click, and then it brings you to the right site, but doesn't carry the intent through. So the thing you're trying to click isn't there. And then when you go back, it's to click the link again, it doesn't remember your setting before, and it gets stuck in this loop where you just can't get to the thing. So that's what they're talking about here, is the commit is having to go through multiple steps, and if that commit gets forgotten along the way anywhere, like for instance, you open a door, that gets outputted, but then something happens in the way where they have to do server recovery, that input didn't get logged, it didn't get registered, it's not making its way through to the server recovery. So something you just did at that moment could either just not have worked, which isn't that bad, because if a server is being recovered, like crash recover, you expect maybe something like to have to redo a step before. But as a player, that's just something we know to do when lag happens. But if it has some sort of other problem where it gets hung in the system trying to commit that action, then all of a sudden the server doesn't know what to do, your client doesn't know what to do. There's so many problems that can happen, and that's why there's so many edge cases when dealing with something this complicated, when there's handoff of information across multiple systems, essentially dynamically. It's like there's so many, there's so much foolproofing that has to go into this. It's a daunting task. This is not a small hill to climb
for something to actually happen. But then it was also other game code as well. Other teams, you know, send in sort of like serialized variables and messages across the network. Some of them were like being sent twice, which obviously is not ideal, because if we send in messages twice, we only need to send it once. Then we've got two messages being sent, which is, you know, the backlog or the queue is just going to get busier a lot quicker. So between now and then, you know, data, analytics, metrics, making sure that the development team have the information that they need when they request it as well, and having our back-end dashboard set up so information is correct and not incorrect, because we don't want to provide incorrect results.
We're starting to see fixes for those kind of strange cases start to come in. So the overall experience at this point now would have been much more solid.
At this point, after a series of necessary wins and a reconfiguration of our analytics dashboard, with clients and servers now both connecting to the hybrid service, ready to put an end to the DGS crashes causing players to get disconnected, it was time to move to the next major milestone. Testing configurations of multiple DGSs
Storytelling, Jared.
connected to the same hybrid service. Or, put simply, our first true server mesh.
The next milestone in our tech preview testing was February 29th, which was the first time that we attempted to have 2 solar systems running on 2 DGSs connected to the same hybrid service, and clients basically able to connect through them, choose which solar system they wanted to play in, and go and play.
So this one was the big surprise. So we were really excited to finally get multiple DGSs and multiple solar systems out there into the hands of the backers for testing. And also this was a huge milestone for the platform teams, because it's their first time having to deploy a full-on server mesh with multiple DGSs out to our live environment. That was a super exciting test.
We still had the single hybrid, which for us, having a single hybrid manage the state of multiple servers was a huge, huge milestone. And with those, there may have been some bugs, some interestingness. Being able to see crash recovery actually occur and then succeed on the Pyro server really proved to us that we're kind of getting to that kind of milestone point.
We had tried it internally first, but yeah, with the tech previews, it tends to be pretty hot. What you see is the build that we've created the day before. It's kind of a bit of a wing and a prayer to hope that it is actually going to work. We got a lot of data about our performance, and it all seems to be holding up pretty well.
You keep saying surprisingly well. Were you expecting this to just fall on its face?
Yes, I've been working in games a long time, and for things to work first time is very unusual. So yeah, I was fully expecting something to explode and for us to have to patch something up.
It's just the game dev mentality. You're going to be pessimistic about these things. Things crash all the time. You go to compile error. You fix that, 2 more issues come up. It's just a dev mentality to, I mean, again, hope for the best, but you plan for the worst. You just expect the worst to happen all the time. So when it happens, you're just like, oh, okay, yeah, we planned for that. Maybe that's where I got that mentality. It's a very dev mentality, programming mentality.
A little bit of anxiety, I feel, with teams that we never tried anything quite like this before, and the tech might not actually cope with it, and then we might have to cancel the test. Things, thankfully, went really, really, really well. Generally speaking, when we tested server meshing stuff out, it's tended to behave better than people expected at the time. So yeah, we've kind of gotten lucky with some of this stuff.
However, as awesome as it was to finally see 2 star systems running on the same DGS, there was still one last-minute disappointment for every member of the team.
Unfortunately, we had a last-minute issue with the jump points. That meant they weren't quite going to make it for that test.
Originally, we were trying to make it so that the jump gates were functional, and you could have done solar system transitions via the jump gates. We didn't manage to make that in time.
I remember being very upset that jump points decided not to work at the last minute. But there was an issue with the jump points where if someone used it, the radius to pull in people from the server to go to Pyro was essentially the size of the universe. So if you used the jump point, everyone in Stanton was going to Pyro whether they wanted to or not.
And so you had so how did you enforce people not using it?
I don't actually remember. I think it was just said, no, don't.
And the people behaved?
If I remember, only one person tried it and it broke, so nothing happened, which, very lucky.
And then, only a week later, on March 7th, the first successful test of a jump point assisted server transition occurred.
For us in the UK,
was a big
the tech preview releases tend to go out like 11, midnight kind of time. And I stayed up and hopped on to kind of give it a look, and the excitement that we had from being able to like actually see us, like thousands of players in a queue, jump through the jump points, and for things to work with minimal issues is a very exciting time for us.
I sat by the Pyro jump gate watching the first backers come through from Stenton. Myself, a whole bunch of the team were online watching that happen. Amazing to see it, kind of culmination of years of work by dozens of teams and hundreds of people.
I remember being really happy because everyone was thrilled. All the backers were really thrilled that they actually saw it themselves.
It was more than just a great technical accomplishment for the dev team and just for gaming in general. It was, I mean, a vindicating moment, right? I mean, this is one of those main technologies that everyone, the reason we're all backing this project is for those moments. So it was a vindication, I think, for a community that's stuck together for a long time. Now there's a long way to go after that, but I mean, there's a long way to go after putting the first man on the moon to creating a Mars colony, right? But that first man on the moon is still an incredibly important step, So this is kind of that. Sure, we got that bigger picture in mind of where we want to go, and we're not there yet, but those steps are still monumental to the devs and to the community. So yeah, it was a big moment. It was cool. I imagine a lot of people got emotional over it too. Hey, what's up, Court?
The players going through the gate and smashing into each other on the other side. They would just come out of the gate and somebody would be parked there from having just come through, and they would crash into each other. They would spin out. It was really funny.
Yeah, it was pretty great having people actually be able to do it, something they'd been waiting for God knows how long.
Seeing people actually use the jump gates for the first time, that was like really exciting. That I think brought home to the community at large that this was actually server meshing, that we're actually doing the real tech here and it actually works. And yeah, we knew it all along, but yeah, it told everybody else that, yeah, we're doing the real deal here.
Yeah, I knew it would.
Oh, you knew it would work?
In that run-up, we tested nothing but the jump gates, because that was our focus, so.
UA is so cynical that if they say it works,
it's gonna work, yeah, it's gonna work.
That works. And
That's
with
great.
these
Hey,
first
what's up,
successful
Alan?
tests now having proven out the project's ability to simultaneously operate 2 star systems across 2 DGSs on a single shard, the time was fast approaching to test the other core functionality of server meshing technology, the subdivision of an entire star system across multiple servers.
And that went really well too. I mean, they're going to tell us about that and say, but that went really well too. There were some bugs. Like I was watching Everyday, I think it was Everyday Astronaut. Or was it Ollie? I think it was Everyday Astronaut. Or not Everyday Astronaut. Down to Earth Astronomy. That's who it was. Down to Earth Astronomy was, it'd shoot a missile and it would go across the server line. It would teleport down, but then keep going, right? So there's obviously small instances like that, but it worked. Like missiles were going across. Now, there were other issues with losing parties or not being able to see your party, but it worked, and that was really cool.
We'd done the jump gate, so we focused on just having the Stanton system again, but this time we split the Stanton system between multiple DGSs.
It's super exciting now to finally deliver on what I think a lot of people's vision of server meshing is, which is a single solar system being divided into multiple areas that are all being managed by multiple DGSs.
We were once again really, really nervous about how this is going to work. The subdivision of Stanton up into multiple servers is technically a risky thing to do.
So the way that we did that is we kind of carved up the Stanton solar system into what we call territories, and then we'd assign those territories to different numbers of DGSs. And while we were doing that, we also tried increasing the player cap. We tried 2 DGSs, 200 players, 3 DGSs, 400 players, 4 DGSs, 400 players, and then we just decided to go a bit nuts, and we tried 6 DGSs and 800
It was
players.
800, yeah.
And that was really to stress the system,
Get the data.
server crash recovery, and kind of, get all the performance information about how the hybrid service is able to handle these.
Point of those
higher
tests, you
numbers
got to
of
push it to the
DGSs
limits.
and higher numbers of of players.
And seeing 800 players in a shard and seeing the screenshots on Reddit, very, very exciting to see that what we had made was capable of that, though there's certainly improvements to be made.
We actually exposed a bug during that one where you would drop out of quantum travel right at the transition point.
When someone would transition across that border, they would just vanish. So yeah, it made it very obvious where the borders are.
All the backers were like, oh, we know where the server boundaries are.
That was accidental, but it provided us a fantastic testing opportunity because people could really hammer all sorts of crazy conditions.
That's what I was saying is like, no, once people knew where the boundary was, they're like, ooh, let's just test. Let's just test stuff. As he said, a happy little accident, you know, because players immediately when they know where it's going, where it is gonna, as you said, hammer it. They're gonna pummel that thing.
Conditions at the boundary to see, shooting other ships across the boundary and all throwing cargo boxes across and watching it all largely work.
Shooting across it, EVAing across it, lots of testing that we weren't really expecting to get out of that actually happened. And for the most part, it held up really well.
This configuration of star systems broken up into multiple territories, each containing one or more parts of the playable space like a planet or moon, distributed between whichever number of DGSs are available, and spreading the simulation workload across all the DGSs in the mesh, is what will one day allow us to seamlessly move or transition players throughout the galaxy without immersion-breaking loading screens. But with this first series of tests now completed, it was time to step back and ready the replication layer split and server crash recovery for Alpha 3.23.
Right.
I watch a lot of
which we've been doing now. I wonder if they're going to cover what we're doing going forward here too. Looks like we got time to cover that potentially, but I'd like to know exactly like kind of where they're at now when it comes to 4.0.
Streamers and videos, and everyone was really, really happy, and that makes me happy. That makes me motivated to do my job.
When the RL split went out in 3.23, we didn't see too many problems. And things seem to be working very, very well. And I believe that's largely can be attributed to the amount of testing that we've done, kind of leading up with the backers and with the public.
When general QA was testing it, when they first got their eyes on it, you could hear a pin drop when they were testing it. It was so quiet. People were so worried about it. And then when the test was over, they were floored, essentially. They didn't realize that tech had already been put into the game. And it was actually pretty incredible that it worked so well.
The server recovery stuff was always something we have to get into Star Citizen to make the whole thing work. The crash recovery stuff required a lot of work on the game team side of things just to make sure that their systems is compatible so that when we do have the crash recovery, their systems will recover along with the actual server.
It's a testament to our approach to all of this with Tech Preview, with getting all of this out into the hands of the backers super early. It's given us an environment and a place to mature this tech. So at the time that we came around to delivering it for real in the live release with 3.23, we had really good confidence that it was going to work, that it was going to be a good experience, and I think for the large part, that's been true.
With Alpha 3.23 now out, there's still work to be done, and a new series of trials have already begun by the time this episode airs.
Between now and 4.0, we've got a lot of work to do, both on the tech side of things within Core Tech Group, with the teams who are actually working on server meshing. There's a lot of work to do on the game side of things. We've got to work with the game teams very, very closely. Pretty much every system in the whole game is affected by server meshing to some extent.
More tech previews in the lead up to 4.0. That should help us harden like some subdivision, multi-system split, and kind of see where we can kind of push things.
Every time they bump up the test, like more and more people, I'm just like, oh, now they're going to find more stuff that we don't know about. Oh no, there's more work coming.
My team's also improving tooling as well, making sure the health of the content is and the world we're building is the best it can be.
Ultimately, these steps between now and Alpha 4.0 and the continuing work beyond are only made possible by the support of fellow developer and tech preview tester alike. And it's these efforts that keep the teams moving forward towards these difficult but attainable milestones.
Has there ever been a point in the last 5 years where you lost faith?
No.
Really?
No, yeah, no. I mean, there have been some, it's been a bit rocky at times. But I never lost faith because I believe in the tech.
I don't think we could have done this anywhere else. Nowhere else would.
I think that's really cool, by the way. I just want to point out on the side of CIG, that's a dangerous question to present to your developers, right? I mean, not only for your own perception, like what if you said yes? You know, that's risky. Some people could run with that and say, oh, they didn't even know what they were doing. What the heck? You know, like there's risk there. But then also, just on like the, I forgot what the second part I was going to say was. ADHD. It's just risky because it's you know, it presents that possibility of no. Oh yeah, on the developer side, risky is like, what if they did? Do they want to say no? Like, is their employer going to be like, what do you mean? Why'd you answer that? Or like, why would you? It's a risky question all around. But the fact that they're asking it and allowing them to answer it is good. I mean, those are those little moments of transparency that you're like, they really are being transparent about this stuff, which is fun, which is why I love following this project, because it's devs being real. Like these guys aren't PR trained to give the right answers and all that. Like they're devs. They're going to say what's on their mind, truthfully. So it was a risky question. I was just surprised it was asked. It was good.
Lost faith because I believe in the tech.
I don't think we could have done this anywhere else. Nowhere else would have the patience to really develop this kind of tech on the promise of something that might happen.
I don't think there is another game company on the planet that can do what we're doing. We can take risks to produce amazing technologies that other game companies simply can't take. I'm pretty convinced that this couldn't be done anywhere else.
It might sound like we're really confident with how well Tech Preview has been going, because we are, but we're honestly amazed at how smoothly a lot of this has gone. Always room for improvement, of course, and there's always things that we wish had gone better. But by and large, we're really impressed with the maturity of the tech so early on, how well it performed under really heavy load in a real environment.
This is an incredibly exciting time for me. I personally have been working on this for almost 10 years. All the little bits and pieces that we've been doing have all been leading up to this. This year's been fantastic in actually seeing a lot of it all come together.
A decade.
You know, the jigsaw puzzle's virtually complete now. There's just the last few pieces to put in. It's just been amazing to actually see all this work, all this effort that we've put in actually come together, and to be able to put it in the hands of our backers and, you know, get their feedback and, you know, have them experience what this could mean for the game. It's amazing.
Star Citizen Alpha 4.0 will be the first time a server mesh consisting of multiple DGSs with many territories and even multiple star systems makes its way to the live game environment. This represents an enormous step forward towards our goal of making Star Citizen into a massive, seamless, persistent universe. After 4.0, we'll continue to push this first version of server meshing, gradually increasing the number of DGSs within the mesh and the number of players this technology can immediately support. But to fully unlock the potential of the work being done, beyond that, we'll pursue dynamic server meshing, where the distribution of players and entities that get streamed in on the DGSs are managed according to server load. All in all, the journey to server meshing started nearly 10 years ago and will continue to evolve beyond its debut in this year's Alpha 4.0. And we invite you to continue following along with this progress in
Jared's
the Tech Preview channel, where you can help to ensure
every
the
time
best
he finishes
possible
a
future
sentence
for its development, as well as keep folks like the UK network team, just one of the many groups dedicated to bringing this technology to life, energized and empowered to make this dream a reality. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for letting us share the people and process of game development with you, and we'll see you all here next week.
Thanks, Jared. His signature head bobble. I'm Jared Huckabee. Well then, that was good. I mean, we pretty much just got like a summary, like a nice tightly packaged summary of what they've already been doing. There wasn't much in the future. It was cool to see it from the developer side, though, how confident they've been, because it kind of adds confidence to the community. You know what they're feeling, they're thinking, and if we see that confidence, it kind of ignites us. So you know, a little bit of good insight, a little bit of propaganda towards the backers to make sure that we stay excited. But yeah, no, it was fun. It was fun to watch because I mean that's exciting tech. So I'm excited that they're excited about it too. Let me know what you guys think about the this tech. If you're watching, by the way, on the live stream right now, let me know in the comments. If you're watching on the VOD on YouTube afterwards, then let me know down below in the comments. Yeah, I was wondering though if we should use this moment. If people only cared about this, you're not going to compare it to the next part. But I did kind of want to quickly just go over before we end stream is talk about the monthly report while we're here, while we're at it, you know, while we're getting to it. So recent monthly report came out and there's some good stuff in here. There's a lot of smaller stuff I'm going to skip over. Obviously, I tend to skip over economy stuff. I just find that boring until we actually get quantum and stuff in. And some other things, you know, like community stuff too. I'm not really going to talk about. But some of the key takeaways, speaking of quantum, was the fact that they've mentioned it in this, which means Tony Z is alive and quantum is alive. The AI team, another upcoming objective was to implement different service solutions for long-term AI functionalities, including the quantum simulation, battle system, and commentator model. I don't know what commentator model is or battle system is. Potentially to battle system to do with like Maelstrom and that, but quantum simulation, boom, look at that. This thing's popping up way too much, but don't forget to subscribe. The quantum simulation is there, alive, and they're preparing to implement it, which is why the economy stuff just, it doesn't, I find that boring right now because it's all arbitrary manipulation of the numbers, right? Until you get a truly dynamic system that reacts based off of the players, not devs reacting off players and trying to balance things. You just have true balance with a system that's reacting itself automatically. I just don't find the economy stuff interesting, which is why I don't really care about like cargo hauling and all that. I know a lot of people, that's like their main gameplay loops. I just don't find it exciting right now until we get proper dynamic, economy in. That was one of the big things. Of course, the next big thing was Maelstrom being committed to their main internal branch. That's awesome. That Maelstrom, by the way, is the tools that are used to create dynamic breakage on physical objects. And that's going to be great. So they have different destruction sequences like shatter, break, and integrity changes. This is awesome. This is going to make battles so crazy, especially introducing the newer flight model with the flight surfaces. Right. Any salvage nerfs here? I'll quickly look into it for you if you want. I don't think I saw that. Again, I lightly read it. I don't see any. There's quantum and hydrogen fuel changes, like a new economy for that. Effort versus reward algorithm. So mission rewards are balanced according to the time that you put in. Coming changes to cargo and cargo missions. Nothing in terms of, but this wasn't like a patch update or anything. This was just a monthly report. So I'm assuming any of those changes for salvage will probably get introduced in notes on like Spectrum or something rather than here, because this is technically outdated information. This is what they did in the last month. So I don't see anything there. So it looks like you're safe now if you're Ulix, if you're a salvage nerd. I like salvage. I think salvage is fun. It's very much like power washing simulator. It's one of my favorite things. Just really relaxing. New interactables, explosive stuff for blockade runner missions coming up. They finished some stuff, some new assets for new star systems. They've these new cave archetypes as well. Planet Tech V5 is getting closer to being ready. The online technology stuff is good. The social services, so the back end like chat, emotes, all that stuff is being like the services have been strengthened, so it's not going to crash as much. I'm sure it still will, but it can handle more requests. so emotes won't break, hopefully in game. It also gives them the opportunity. This is fun. It gives them the opportunity to have like Spectrum be able to affect, so you can join parties with Spectrum in the future, which is cool, because Spectrum, I think, was always supposed to be something you can utilize it like outside the game. That's how you get to like a true metaverse situation, is you have the game, then when you're outside the game, you can keep interacting with the game, and having Spectrum, say, on your phone, where you can join parties, talk to your party members, say, what's going on, guys, let me know, all that. And the more features we get like that I can just do on my phone or elsewhere is going to be really, really cool. It just keeps you invested in the game a lot more, especially when it comes to like org stuff and crew stuff. So that's good to hear. Now, one thing is interesting is they did move a couple of the AI processes to client side. Now, I wonder what that means when it comes to hackability and cheat developments, because the more you have on the client side, the easier it is for hackers. But I think it's just part of it, so maybe it's got to consolidate with the stuff that is being run server side, and if it doesn't consolidate, then there's, I don't know what kind of checks they're going to have in place for that. But basically, the AI will also now have a group mentality. So, right now when you get into a group and you shoot at AI, they have to react to you and then start shooting. By the time they react, a lot of times you've already killed the person, but then they all individually react at different times. Now, certain AI actors will have the ability to cheat by sharing that information, which usually, could be just like radio, or just sound. They shouldn't all need to react every single time. So now the AI will be able to, they're going to keep making sure it's balanced as they test this. But I think they've already committed it, and they're going to be testing it here. So the team's play testing and balancing. Okay. So the idea is if NPC number 1 reacts, NPC number 2 might be like, wait, someone's there, and start shooting at the same time as NPC 1, because they know they don't also have to react, right? They now share that information. So the groups of enemies will feel a little more reactive to you. They just got to work on, the radius, the balance, how many things, what are the conditions for them getting this information. Yeah, I really got to slow this down. This slideshow is yelling at you guys to subscribe. The slideshow's in... Wait, I'm using different... you guys don't care about that. I was about to tech support my stream here. Yeah, they're going to balance this, because you don't want some guy like 3 rooms over knowing that you're there before, when they really realistically shouldn't have heard you. Then again, they got radios and stuff, but we'll see how that gets implemented in. What else on Discord did I put in here? By the way, if you want to get involved into discussions when I'm not live, head over to the Discord, !Discord if you're on YouTube, or if you're on Twitch. If you're watching on YouTube, go to the description below. Join the community. We got other stuff in here. A lot of Rocket League talk. You can keep up to date with all my other content as well, and just gaming. We got anime talks in there too. Monthly reports. Tony Z Alive, social services. Oh yeah, 7 unannounced ships are being worked on apparently. A couple in white box, a couple in gray box. One of them is almost done. 4 approaching white box review stage. 2 are heading towards gray box review, and the last is nearly finished. Well, let me know what you guys think those ships might be. I'm not big into the ships. I like more ships coming, but like, I'm not like a ship nerd. I just like the experience of Star Citizen, Oh, Delta signatures. This is the last one I thought was interesting. Basically, there'll be new vehicle emissions. So when you turn your quantum on and off, for instance, your ship will output. I think this was in this one, or was this in Cortec? Yeah, here it is. So the idea is that if you turn on your quantum, or activate your quantum boost, change your master mode or ping, you put out a new emission that different the other ships then, if they're scanning, will be able to see. That creates a Delta signature, and you'll get a UI to get notified of these things. So I don't know if you have to actively be scanning or if these are signatures that ships have passive scanners on. They notify, oh, someone has done this thing, to give you more information as a player. Oh, my opponent just switched master modes. You know, I don't know what kind of balance that's going to be. Is that fair to the player switching master modes, that your opponent now knows that you've done that and don't have shields without having to scan? We'll see. But it does create a lot more options for dynamic battles and interactions between players and NPCs. So, yeah, that's cool. That's really it in terms of interesting stuff. In my opinion, out of this. Maybe you guys missed some stuff. If I did miss some stuff, again, please leave it in the comments below if you're watching on YouTube. Deval Sharma, hello. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, no, that was interesting. It was good to see the server meshing. It was good to see there was some juicy stuff in here. Again, Maelstrom was the big one for me. I'm just so excited for that dynamic destruction. Now, the question is, how are they going to make that work? I mean, they're probably not going to implement that into structures, right? Like you don't want players going in, destroying a city, and then now the city's destroyed forever for the rest of time, right? And if it is going to happen, you don't want it to be easy. So I imagine a lot of Maelstrom is just going to be dealt with vehicles and allowing vehicles to feel more dynamically destructive. Maybe fauna as well. Or sorry, not fauna, flora. Fauna, just legs flying off. Gibbs system. Flora, it'd be cool if you crash through trees and they can crumble. And then, you know, throughout time they grow back. That's something that you could easily, you know, fake with growth. But buildings would be a lot more of a difficult thing. Just popped in here to say I love your work in RLC, and I really, hey, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Sorry, this YouTube channel is kind of more of a Star Citizen approach to things. I do have my podcast though. It's if you go to LeafXRL, I do my Rocket League stuff over there. I got podcasts with players and casters and stuff there. I think we have like almost 40 episodes up or something over there. A lot of episodes. Trying to get some more out. If you did want some of my content there, but I appreciate you with the support. Anyone that's watching this video for Star Citizens would be very confused. I commentate Rocket League for anyone that is watching this that only watches for Star Citizen. And I kind of two different communities I'm involved in, Star Citizen and Rocket League, which is why my Discord kind of melds the two together. It's very hard branding wise. Like, you know, people like you, Deval, you searched my name, found it, you know me about Rocket League, but here I am not talking about Rocket League. So it's an interesting dilemma for me when it comes to creating content, where to put that content. So this channel here, I'm probably actually going to start dealing with other, probably not Rocket League, but other types of content like video games, not just Star Citizen. This is going to be a large Star Citizen focus, but I want to expand my ability to talk about other games because I'm just a gamer, you know. I'm not just a Rocket League guy. I'm not just a Star Citizen guy. No, you don't have to be sorry. I just think it's an interesting dilemma I've come across my meta because like, or my content. I was like, what are people expecting when they search the LeafX brand, you know? And it's very difficult. So I'm trying to convert that into just a gaming thing. Definitely a dilemma, you know, but at least I make it searchable. If you search LeafX, my RL and this one come up. So we'll see. And I do have on my channel, you know, you can go and see my where's my channel? My other channels are listed, you know, right there of the other stuff that I do. So yeah, very interesting. Why are there 2 live now spots? Interesting. Either way. Either way. Deval, thank you for coming by. Can't get exactly. Maybe you will like some of my other content. If you want to check it out, go check it out and let me know. Even if you're not into Star Citizen. I try to make my stuff keep a gamer perspective on things, a broader approach. Not a Star Citizen fan, but a gaming fan that happens to be in Star Citizen. But if not, that's okay. And everyone else that's watching, thanks everyone that came by. I see quite a few people watching on YouTube, actually. That's awesome. Fresh banana bread. Oh my God. Guys, I think I gotta go. You found it. Hell yeah. Thank you for coming by. Much love. Hope to see you in the future, Vault. And reminder for everyone that's on YouTube, I am streaming on Twitch if you like that platform better. And if you're watching on Twitch and like YouTube, I am over there. And this VOD will be on YouTube, so anyone's watching the VOD afterwards, come join us in the live discussions. Hang out. I love chatting with people. Or hit up the Discord. I'm always in there chatting with people. Love to hear from everyone. I just like talking to people. So for that, we are done here. Today's purpose has been accomplished. Hopefully I'll have more live streams coming soon as I try to sort out my life. There's been a lot going on. I'm trying to keep mental health a priority right now. So I'm feeling good lately. Fish oils. Take omega-3 supplements, guys. Oh my God, my mood has been so incredibly good lately. It's insane. I've been feeling so good. Either way, thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves. And until next time, keep gaming hard. I'm getting banana bread.